That hurt. More verticality. Recording in progress. All right. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to do this show today because I am definitely under the weather. Woke up with 103 temperature.
He says he woke up.
Just tried to take one of my favorite substances and could not inhale it. So there we go. Flying just normal today, like a normal person. And Gizmo's decided to join us for the broadcast. He's right there. Doesn't look like he's going to move. He's a little under the weather too, actually. He's on painkillers. You know, he's 14 years old, somewhere around there. And things are just slowly falling apart on him. So Derek is sick, but his computer's working. So there's that.
They had a trade-off. So Derek wanted to make sure he was on time, so he decided to get sick instead.
Actually, what happened is I got on here at 7:40, 50 minutes before the show started to make sure everything was working. Usually it takes me 10 minutes to get on. But, you know, I had to make sure. And I knew Brett wouldn't get here till a little later. So thus the show at 8:30 today rather than the 8:50.
I didn't want to gamble, but it turned out kid's soccer game or practice was rained out anyways.
Got canceled. Huh?
But we're heading up to Michigan tomorrow, so it made sense to just stick it at 8:30 and get some shit done around the house.
Oh, that's always a good idea. Yeah. So, you know, the topic today is based on two different articles, really, that Berhalter was interviewed in. One by one of our favorites and former guest, Steven Goff. And the other being an MLS article, I'm right. But then we had some people who asked some questions, too. With GG's comments, does that mean a possible formation change may be a 3-4-3? Could be. Or it could be, you know, a 3-5-2 or 3-4-2-1. It could be 3-5-2. You'd like that if it were 3-5-2. Two strikers.
Yes, let's have a two-striker tandem. Even though he talks about in the MLS article how we couldn't mirror the French team that won the World Cup without a striker scoring a single goal. So maybe the two strikers is not going to work for us. But was it Sean? Yeah, to Sean's point, this is the topic he's talking about right here, where I highlighted. So
yeah. Though his personnel will remain largely unchanged, this is Goff, Berhalter said he would use some June matches to work on a three-man back line instead of the usual four-man setup, just so the guys are familiar with it. He said, at a World Cup, you want that in your pocket. I think he meant back pocket, but because I don't think he's going to use it unless he really sees a situation where that might work. And maybe he's already picked out one. Maybe he's like, I'm going to do that versus Iran. But him being as conservative as he is, I think it's only going to be for a very special situation. And he's been criticized by people like us for only playing one formation. Maybe he's heard some of that criticism.
Yeah, there's definitely points on there that of the next article again that I go, I really do think Berhalter actually watches our show. I really do.
Well, that would be great.
There we go. This is kind of what I was going to go into as well. Not a 5-4-1, but that's how it's probably going to be played out. As say if you play against England and you want to have a little more defensive security, you play with three back line, you play with wing backs, and then you know, your two box-to-boxes with, I guess, your three up top, which I'm guessing would mean that the wings, the Pulisic's or the Reyna's, assuming that he's healthy come World Cup, we'll be checking back a little more, and then we're going to be looking at a solo striker.
Well, 5-4-1, that's still going to be Robinson on the left and Dest on the right with three center backs. So then the question becomes, well, all right, who plays in that four? And the two wider ones in the four, Weah or Aronson, whoever you want, and Pulisic or Reyna, if he's healthy, will get squashed in a bit, or could. Or it might provide them more freedom to get wide. And that's not just typically how it works, though. Left back and a right wing back, left wing back, and a back five usually have free reign up and down the wings.
Well, if you really think about what Pulisic's done over qualifiers, he's always checked back and in a bit more than, say, like when Weah plays out wide, he's always running that sideline. But if you had like a Reyna and Pulisic, that would do both that, to check back in and back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, leaving our striker as almost like a pure 9 there, just pure top striker.
Right, and
then you'd still have the wing backs going up and down the sideline. So I mean,
Eric, in theory, in the attack, this really looks a lot more like a 3-5-1. So, it just depends, what situation we're in during the game. Oh, and we should handle this headline, by the way, because Goff does a good one to get straight to the point by saying, we're looking to fine-tune, not reshape, the U.S. men's roster. So that means we're not going to see a whole lot of new people. It'll be bit parts from a few people here and there, and he talks about that. But do we want to answer any more questions before we get to that?
Well, yeah, we could.
Because one of them is one of the questions relates to like who's going to be there, who's not, who's getting screwed.
Let me pull it up. I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at? I'm assuming you're referring to this one. Like Chris A.
Is John Brooks done with the U.S. men's national team based on Gregg's comments? Yeah. But we already told you that. 2, go back.
Oh, I was going to finish that one out. Okay, whatever.
What's considered a success for Sounders at the Club World Cup? Oh, okay. That's a whole different thing that we can get into later if we don't forget about it. But what's this? Is it important that we got there? It's important that we beat a Mexican team and ended that long streak of never have won the CONCACAF Champions League. So
as far as what Chris was referring to with John Brooks and Berhalter's comments, this is what he's talking about.
Yeah, I would rather look at a guy like CCV to see what he can do, because I already know what John can do. Whoa. So that's basically, remember in one of the interviews, Berhalter said, well, there are just some things I want him to work on. And we didn't have time for it in this liftoff. There was no liftoff to this final window of qualifiers, so I couldn't have him in it. But he's basically saying here, nah, even in June, I'm still not looking at Brooks because I'd rather look at other people.
So the June window is interesting, because I know a lot of people are wondering if he's going to tinker about, especially those friendlies. But what's interesting here, and I didn't really realize this until actually today, is that the June friendlies roll right into the Nations League. Like it's literally like all right together.
Yeah.
So Berhalter's going to bring more or less what he thinks is going to be an A squad, or a healthy A squad. I mean, obviously certain players aren't going to be there. He does talk about how obviously Reyna and Dest won't be there in the summer during June. McKinney and Richards might be, depending if they're healthy enough. Speaking of which, McKinney was seen at practice with Juventus, so that's always a good sign.
That is a good sign. But, getting to be more clear about what Gregg says here, he's already built the go-kart. All right? It has all the things that he wants on it. He's not going to reshape this or put a new chassis on it. He's done. Chassis done. He's just going to go in the engine and tinker with a few things and fine-tune them. That's what how I would put that.
And now, and we're going to get further into this, of course. But I mean, he already mentions 2 players that he's going to look at in June. He mentioned CCV and he mentions Haji Wright. So if he doesn't bring in Brooks because he's already got his squad and he's just going to tinker with a few players, that means Brooks misses out on all the June window. That's all the friendlies outside of it's all friendlies and Nations League outside of the 2 friendlies that are going to happen in September.
And that means he's not going to get to fine tune with John Brooks.
Exactly. So I mean,
he's out.
He's basically just stated that he's out.
He's gone. It's over. So I wonder what John Brooks thinks about that quote. I don't know. I'll have to check Bild tomorrow, or one of the German soccer websites.
Derek Gray had an article about an opinion article about Brooks yesterday, I think.
Really?
And it was basically just saying that Berhalter shouldn't be done with Brooks, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of a solid fluff piece for Brooks. Highlights all of the good things he's done outside of the bad spell he had. But it was a fun little read. But there was nothing into it outside of just highlighting that Brooks is still a good defender. Because he doesn't fit your style of defending doesn't mean he should be out of the cycle.
People who keep bringing up, well, he said it was about form, and now he's in form, and he still didn't get called up.
We did that. We did that to prove a point, though.
So, but the point is, yes, exactly that. It has nothing to do with form in the first place. There you go. It doesn't. There's something else going on there. We've told you about it.
That's a frustrating thing. Again, he could have squashed all this by simply saying he doesn't fit the mold that I want in a center back. I mean, he probably would have gotten heat from that.
Right.
But it would have been squashed. This wouldn't have been a talking point every window.
And if you're thinking about playing a back 3 and you're not going to bring John Brooks to June, what's the point of that?
Maybe he does show up in the September window as an option that he can get a final look at. Maybe. I stress maybe. But it's clear that he's not going to bring him in June. So I mean, I quite frankly, again, I think it's a moot point at this point.
Yeah, he'd rather look at CCV. So that's the answer to that question. What other CVs is he going to bring in to June? CCV. He just flat out said it in this article.
Well, obviously Miles Long. You got Zimmerman.
Yep.
Not Miles Long. Sorry, Miles Long Zimmerman. There's 3 right there.
Right.
Richards, if he's healthy, there's 4.
Yeah.
And then CCV, there's 5. And if they're going to practice a possible 3-back, maybe they bring in a 6th center back. I don't know.
I don't know about that, but I do think EPBE is in there.
Well, then I guess you'd have to squash one of the MLSers because he already talks about how if Richards is healthy, he's going to be included.
Yeah, but he's not going to be healthy. Richards they thought healthy.
I don't know where he's fucking at.
He came back for 1 game and went right back. So he's injured again. Whatever it is, I wouldn't count on him being healthy.
I mean, I wouldn't either. But I'm just saying he said if he is healthy, he's included. So I mean, at that point, if he is healthy, and this is the big if, and maybe this is again another moot point, and we just remove Richards from it and then throw in EPB, and there's your 5.
Well, EPB is playing and playing well. I don't know what else he could possibly do at this point to get called up. I mean,
in fairness, Brooks is playing and playing well. Might say game here and there type thing, but
but he hates Brooks.
I know that. I'm just bringing up the same point that you said.
He doesn't like the guy. He doesn't like his face.
There are those 5 CVs. I did want to bring up one other one here. Tamale Killer had a nice comment. He says, "Hi guys, and Jimmy Conrad's YouTube show. They interviewed Morris today, and Morris said that U.S. men's national team coaches asked him if he wanted to play the 9."
Mm-hmm. And what did he say?
I didn't catch that part. I bowed out about 25 minutes into that show. Not for any reason. It was a busy day today.
Yeah, for a reason. They're talking about the Sounders the whole time. You're a Chicago Fire fan. You were like, "Yay!"
I cheered on the first 5 minutes when they rooted on, like, "Yay! They won the CONCACAF Champions League! Hooray, hooray!"
Yeah, it's
I'm like, "All right, I'm out.
Congrats, bye."
I've rooted as much as I can for the Sounders. Ugh.
Yeah, there's only so much I can do. I did watch the game, and it was an enjoyable game to watch. And
spoiler alert for the next show. Stop it.
Yeah, true. So, Tamale let us know what Morris said when they asked him if he wanted to play a 9.
Oh, did you not catch it either?
No.
Oh. Yeah, I don't watch, guys.
I don't watch shows about MLS much. So, that show was headline. And, ironically, we're going to do one, later. So.
But watch our show, guys.
Well, along with the weekend report,
Yeah.
because some bad stuff happened this weekend to some this
there it
week
is.
to some players. So
Morris is willing to play the 9.
that's
Now-
what. Yeah.
Now look at it. That's the type of answer that Gregg was looking when he talked to Otasawi. Hey, I'm going to play you as a center back. Nah, bruh.
Yeah, Otisai said
Now,
no,
mind you, it didn't make any difference one way or another. He wouldn't be in the picture regardless.
but he's like, I refuse to play center back. Hey, by the way, where's the nearest modeling agency?
Is the gym that way? Never mind.
Oh, Otisai, that's a sad story. All right. What other questions, or do we want to cover this article a little more? Because there were some other juicy.
Oh, yeah. I've gone through the effort of highlighting certain talking points we can bring up. Yeah.
Are there more
Look at
questions?
Gregg.
More questions?
He's coaching. We'll get to the questions later.
Okay.
Got to split up some stuff here. So we're not going to read through the whole article, guys.
No, Filippo already did that earlier today.
Yeah. If you want the article read to you, definitely go with him. He has some good insights. I watched the entire video. It was good. It was a good live stream.
It was funny seeing him criticize some of Goff's sentences and say, that's really hard to read. That's oddly written. I'm like, actually, it's not. You're just missing some words when you're reading it. It makes it sound like Goff can't write. But he can write, trust me. He's doing it a long time. Anyhow, neither here nor there, Filippo.
Okay, so it says, thank you guys for going over. I really didn't want to read it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of did, but we've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've done a lot. That's a song by Paul McCartney. Anyhow, we've done a lot, he said in an interview Wednesday while in Washington for the Aspen Institute's Project Play Summit. Now watch me misread this. Right now, it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's just fine-tuning, which we talked about. That's all it is. We'd be crazy to think that now, until November, there is going to be a complete 180. Yeah, I think, making it as radical as a 180, obviously not. But how about...
4-4-2, guys. Let's go.
How about a 5 or a 10? Maybe that's what he considers doing, trying 3 in the back. It's kind of like in the 10 degree range,
That's in his range of trying. I mean, he tried it before in some friendlies prior to the World Cup qualifiers, and he tried it in at least one World Cup qualifier.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're changing it up slightly and basically adding a little more defensive security by adding the 3 center backs, still having the same backs / wing backs at that point, I guess. Mm-hmm. Isn't it a massive change to this formation? Basically, you're just pinching in your wingers, I guess. Well, this is me speculating, of course.
And it allows you to know when your wing backs are, going forward. There's going to be 3 guys back there at all times that aren't going to go up. And so,
in fairness, when Adams is in there, you more or less have 3 center backs.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't much different. So, anyhow,
you have a set position, at that point.
So no, it's not going to be a complete. That's some of the way that Gregg phrases sometimes something. It's like, but of course it can't be a complete 180. Well, no one's saying it needed to be a 180. No one would say that. That's a ridiculous presupposition. No one would even think that. Everybody's going to say, well, I'd like to see you try a few things here and there that are different. Maybe some different players. How about bringing Brooks back? Whatever, people. That's what people are saying, I think.
Jumping back to Morris real quick, just because Samuel ends up following up with his how Morris was willing to play the 9.
Mm-hmm.
He also says that Morris acknowledged that he hasn't completely returned to form, which props to him for flat out stating that.
Yeah, not just form, the proper fighting weight. Although I have to say he played really well last night, but we'll get into that later. As did most of the Americans. And okay. There is a part of this article. Do you guys think Kevin Paredes gets a June call-up? Probably not. Not.
It's hardly seen the field in Germany.
Yeah.
So I don't see him getting a look this cycle, guys.
Same with Justin Shea. No.
Nope.
I saw Filippo brought up Nika Carrera. I'm like, no, dude, that dude plays for Holstein Kiel too. He's just briefly was on the roster for Holstein Kiel, but he goes back and forth. He doesn't get to play for the big boy team. Hardly ever. I don't think ever.
If you ever watched our weekend report, you'd know that.
He does his own weekend report.
Well, he covers the big boys, and he covers them in more depth.
That's true.
On his weekend report. So our reports are a little different.
Ours are longer, but less in depth. His are shorter, but more focused.
So you're saying his is shorter, but with more girth?
Ours is longer and just about right sized. All right.
Okay, hold on. Might as well address this because I recently saw this as well.
I'm seeing Tillman call up rumors on Twitter.
So later on in this article,
which one, Malik or Timothy?
And I'll explain that in a second. But later on in this article, he does talk about how that he's extended an invite to a dual nat.
He calls him
who hasn't played yet for the United States.
Yeah, you can run a search for national.
Yeah, might as well. Why not?
And it'll take you right there because it's the only time he uses the word national in the whole interview, I believe. Oh, of course not. Hit the next one. I forgot
5 times actually. We're
there we go.
Regardless, but
yeah, and you highlighted it already.
Yeah, because we're gonna get. I knew it was gonna come up.
Okay, Berhalter also said he's looking to extend a first time. That's a key invitation to a young dual nat who has yet to play at the senior level. He declined to identify the player or position. Well, that means Jonathan Gomez isn't being called up.
Exactly. That's what Filippo said as well. But so obviously people are saying Malik. There was a.
Do we need Malik? He's more of an attacking midfielder, which we don't play.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm sure he could. You could give him a look, and maybe he'll play him out as a winger, like he does all of our attacking midfielders.
I'm trying to think of anybody else that would make sense. Balogun, but he's not having a really great time at Middlesbrough right now. And you got the Sonora, Alan Sonora.
With Stevenio. Okay, so Stevenio on Twitter said that his sources in Brazil tell him it's Malik.
Malik. All right. Well, he's got.
There's an interesting one. You said no to him.
What?
He's a dual nat that hasn't played for the national team yet.
I would be really surprised because
why would that be breaking news though?
He's not played at all. The difference is that Timothy Tillman's a starter for Greuther Fürth, and Malik Tillman, while playing most of his best games in the last few months with Bayern 2, has been called up to the big boy team and gotten a handful of minutes. Not many, a handful. He has showed that he's quality enough to play in the Bundesliga. So if he's quality enough to play for Bayern on occasion, maybe, yeah.
Sorry, I guess David had it first.
Sonora was my first thought, actually.
It makes sense. I mean, he was interested to get him in on the December window, but they denied him release.
Yeah.
So it's clear that he's been on Berhalter's radar. So that makes sense.
Well, and I mean,
everybody's still hell bent on looking at Europe.
Well, here's the other thing. He said that in that quote that it's first time, which is number one, and the second one.
Well, that could be a thing, though.
What?
Because he says he wants to extend him an invite for the first time, and he's extended an invite to Sonora.
Well, no, not really. He gave him a call and said, "Would you be available?" And he couldn't go.
That kind of the same thing? I mean, I feel
not
like that's
really.
kind of like splitting hairs.
That's not like an offer, because then he would have been on like a preliminary list or something like that. But I don't know. My point is, we don't even know if the Tillmans want to play for us. They're just going to have to play for us because they're not good enough for the German national team. Let's just be honest. They're not.
Well, I mean, in fairness, you can say that about a lot of the dual nats that end up playing for us. I don't care the reasoning for why they choose us in the end.
I don't.
As long as they come out and they bust their ass and they represent us well.
As long as they don't go Timmy Chandlering it out there, I'm all good.
I mean, the only person that really affected was Timmy Chandler. I mean, he only played like how many games did he really play for us? I don't think it was that hell of a lot.
I thought it was it was in the 20s. I'm pretty sure. Now we got to look it up.
I'm looking for it right now. Keep talking.
All right, so we're scrolling down. The June camp, in essence, will be the final opportunity for borderline players to make an impression.
Ah, son of a bitch.
In the 20s,
Much more than I thought.
27.
29.
I was close. Damn, I was close. 2 off. And that would have worked on the prices is right because I would have been underneath.
You would have beaten my one guess. One, Bob, one. He only played for us once.
What the hell? Were you asleep at the...
You got to go with everybody's like 750 caps, Bob. One, Bob. Oh, you're always under.
How drunk were you in the early 2010s? All right, so you don't remember a lot of
early to mid 20s for me. Yeah, probably pretty drunk.
I guess I've paid more attention to Timmy Chandler because
you have a connection.
Yes, my mom was his translator in a Shredder interview. So
and Derek's also stayed at his well, I was gonna say villa, but it's not a villa because he's down in Spain.
Yeah,
one summer.
Well,
only one twin mattress in that room too. So.
But I remember Shredder calling me and said, "Hey, yeah, you're half German, right?" It's like, yeah. He's like, I just lost my interpreter for my interview. I was like, with who? Timmy Chandler. Timmy Chandler can't speak English? Well, he says it's really not very good yet. And so he'd rather speak in German because he's more comfortable with it. I said, Brian, if I do it, no, that's probably a bad idea. Let me ask my mom if she wants to do it. So she did it. So that's the story behind the interview and how my mom was involved with interviewing Timmy Chandler. And I believe that's one of the interviews where he denies all these reasons for not wanting to come. All the times he did not take a call up where it was because of his coach at Eintracht Frankfurt or wherever he was at the time, who basically was his mentor that said, if you leave and go play for the national team and don't stay and train with the team, you might lose your spot when you get back. So, I mean, that's where you're getting paid, right? Your club team, that's where you want to play. That's not
okay. Did you literally read the chat? Because
no,
David said that as well.
I do not read the chat because it will explode my computer.
I know you don't, but I'm just saying you literally read one I was thinking about putting up.
Great minds think alike. That's all I have to say.
Chandler knew who was giving him the cheddar. He gave him the cheddar. Not so much giving anymore. Maybe giving him more.
And honestly, that whole story about him being afraid of flying is true. By the way, he is afraid of flying. It's not a rumor. That's
why he picked a middle to bottom feeding Bundesliga team just so they don't have to travel outside of Germany.
Yeah, I mean they drug him up when they put him on the plane, so he doesn't start screaming. So he's not a fan of traveling. Never has been. Not on planes. Doesn't mind. You know, you're playing in the Bundesliga. Every game is a car drive, a bus drive to the game. Practically most of them are. So big, hairy Jake. I just keep hearing butthead, but like, your mom interviewed Timmy Chandler.
Be more like your mom interviewed Chandler.
Your mom interviewed Timmy Chandler. Yeah, something like that.
Wasn't too bad.
I tried.
All right.
Where were we?
Jumping back here, basically all Berhalter's saying is in June there's going to be a final opportunity for some players. Come September, it's basically going to be the A squad, building that chemistry leading into November.
Yep.
That's all he's basically saying. Now, again, it's not a tryout period, so I mean, he flat out states later on that he doesn't need to see Brooks because he already knows what he can do. So maybe the quote unquote tryout period doesn't affect him in this situation. He could still be included come September.
He says he already knows what he can do, and it's not good enough to be a part of my core team.
Now you're just adding words into his mouth now.
No, he insinuated that by saying he's mostly bringing the core team to this next window, this next June, right? Well, is Brooks on that core team? No, he's not.
No.
So that means that.
Well, I mean, again, he's trying out a couple of. He's trying out CCV.
Yep.
He's trying. He'll probably, like you mentioned earlier, he'll probably bring in EPB.
Yep.
EPB. Sorry, just a lot of initials going on.
Eric
here.
Palmer Brown.
So yeah,
not familiar.
So I don't know. I'm definitely not holding my breath. I'm just saying.
You know what?
The door's just cracked. Just cracked.
I'm so over that disappointment at this point. that Brooks is not on the team. I'm over it. At one point, I just accepted it.
I've assumed a long time ago that he'll never be back.
I just accepted it. But hey, if you want to watch Filippo and Pete lament on that some more, you can go watch their show from, I think, yesterday.
Well, okay, I was going to say, Filippo flat out stated that Brooks will not be included come June, obviously after reading this article.
Yes.
But he does not, I don't think he insinuates at all that he could possibly be included in September. But
no, he did not. They both basically think it's over.
Oh, cool.
Yes, they said that.
One of us.
And although their reasons were still still kind of confused about why that is. So I don't think there's really I think there's so much evidence at this point that we know why it is. We've read into Gregg's words. First it was form, but that when he was in form, it wasn't, because he had these minor things that, he'd still like him to fix, like his attitude, which he didn't say, or that he's slow and he runs a 5'9" and 40. So, he's not going to come out and say those things completely. But when he says things like Brooks doesn't fit into my system as well as some of the other players, we know what his system is. Send the backs up the wings and have two guys cover the middle.
The problem with my problem with Berhalter on this whole scenario is that he didn't say that literally until like after the qualifier.
Yes,
because he kept moving the goalpost all through qualifier, and then once the final window came up, he's like, "Well, I can't really say it's for him. I can't say this. I can't say it." Hey, he's got some things to work on. Yeah, that's what he's got to do. And then
basically, we had to wait for the Bobby Warshaw interview a few weeks ago. So it's ridiculous that we had to wait that long for that information. Like, he could have been honest about it a long time ago, and Brooks wouldn't be, having to write all these placating, Twitters that I'm sure he hates writing. I'm sure he hates writing that. I'm sure he'd like to say, this guy, fuck him. But he's not going to say that because he still wants a chance. Well, it doesn't sound like there is a chance, John. So now
time for that tell-all. Let's do it, John.
It's time for that Twitter that says, fuck Gregg Berhalter right in the asshole. All right? Figuratively. All right. A few weeks from naming the June roster, Berhalter said he plans to invite two players who weren't part of the qualifying effort. Forward Haji Wright and center back Cameron Carter-Vickers. Both are 24. Both have been away from the U.S. squad since 2019, and both are enjoying fine seasons in Europe. Yeah, Filippo said he didn't think Haji Wright had really played that well, and I get that most of his goals come from like the last 6 or 7 games or whatever. But, that's still some good goal scoring by Haji Wright. What's it say? 12 goals in 29 matches? That's more than most of our folks have been doing lately.
Including 7 in the past 7 games. So he's on a hot streak.
Yes.
That's kind of Filippo's point they talked about. He's like, I'm not sure if this is Haji being a good striker or if he's just on a hot streak right now.
All I would say to that comment would be, go watch his footage. Go watch his every touch videos that are out there right now. There's a bunch of them that who's the dude that does all the summary videos of players? Breaks down their every touch. Fuck, I always forget his name. Anyhow, I watched a bunch of those on him the couple days ago. And I was just frankly impressed with his ability to hold up the ball, how fast he is when he's forced out wide, how relatively skilled he is with his feet. He's good in the air. He's basically, I think I mentioned this on the last show, he's essentially Pflock, but maybe a hair better, a hair more skilled.
You say he's Pflock but faster, is what you said.
Yeah, and faster than Pflock. Pflock's more of a lumbering type of guy.
Casanova brings up the guy that I always bring up. But I don't know if that's who you're talking about.
Cranks. Crank Yankers? No, I don't know.
That's his not his Twitter handle, but that's what his at is.
Well, and Big Harry Jake, you're right. Kyle Larin plays well in Turkey, and he gets called up, and he sure as hell looks better than most of our. Yeah, so if you got a guy like Haji Wright keeping up with Larin in the goal category there in Turkey, why aren't his goals? Why don't they count as much as Kyle Ahrens did.
I guess in fairness, Chris Gary says Tyler Boyd plays in Turkey.
He plays poorly in Turkey. I don't know.
I guess we're talking about the top and the bottom there, guys.
Yeah. Rizespor will be relegated. They're going down.
I thought you said they were going to stay up.
And then Boyd hasn't played that. He's not, through parts of the season, he has not been a guaranteed starter. And he has very few assists, and I don't even remember him scoring this season yet. And, he plays as a CAM and or a winger for them. And he doesn't score ever.
We already talked about this one.
Okay. World Cup roster deadline
is gap here, but yeah.
The World Cup roster deadline is not until November 14th. Well, that's calling it rather close, aren't we?
And the World Cup starts November 15th.
No shit. Berhalter said he expects FIFA to expand rosters to 26, which is what we said. Berhalter said he might not announce his roster until 7 to 12 days before the World Cup begins. There's no point in waiting, Berhalter. If you already know,
he doesn't want England or Iran or insert third team here to get an upper hand on us, Derek.
Oh, like they can't figure it out in 17 days. I guarantee you they've already watched all the footage, Greg.
So we watched their September games. We know who they're going to play.
If we're just fine tuning and we know the core group, and the players will be done before they go to the World Cup. I guess you'll have some weeks.
I guess you have the rest of September and all of October really to judge on a couple of the fringe players. We're not talking about the core, like the core 19 to 20 players. I mean, he's already got that. He's already got the bulk of this roster already established.
But I just don't think one or two more games is going to make that much of a difference. Right before the World Cup.
When's the September friendlies? Are early September, are they not? Mid-September, maybe?
I don't remember.
It's about 4 or 5 games before the World Cup area starts. I don't know when I don't know when the leagues are going to pause for the World Cup. Is it are they going to literally play games right up until the week before?
I don't think that if their leagues are smart, they won't. Because then they're going to send a lot of tired players to the World Cup, but they don't give a fuck about the World Cup anyhow.
Exactly. They're not making –
no.
Well, I take that back. I was going to say they're not making shit, but I guess FIFA does pay out to the clubs insurance money, regardless per player. So
now the players could say, hey,
I want a break. Yeah.
We want a break. Collectively, we're coming together.
Good.
The Players Association, and we're saying we want a break, although they have very little power to do that.
And I guess from a league standpoint, you might not want to run it all the way up to the end because, quite frankly, you don't want them to go to the World Cup and get injured. You want them to be a little more fresh, ready to roll, and then. So.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. You don't give them any rest; they could get hurt there too.
Ooh, Ruganaga brings up a great point.
Haji has been playing with CP, McKenny, LTD, Captain Adams, EPB since he was 15. I think that's important for continuity. CCV is the same age, but was playing up when the players were teens. Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, if you missed the beginning of the show, I am deathly ill. So,
you guys, you're welcome. Derek might croak at the end of the show.
And I almost croaked right before the show, but I got it out just in time.
He lost his voice for about a minute there.
Yeah. I was choking. Yeah. On my own phlegm. All right. So yeah, that's not been good. 103 temperature. So I don't know what it is yet. I haven't taken any tests or anything. Just feels like a cold right now or a flu sort of thingy. The United States will play friendlies against World Cup bound teams next month. Morocco on June 1st and Cincinnati and Uruguay on June 5th in Kansas City. God, more Midwest, huh? Pound that to the ground. And mandatory, I guess the guys in the out west don't get games anymore. And mandatory CONCACAF Nations League matches against Grenada in Austin or in El Salvador.
In fairness, USSF is looking at it and going, well, geez, we're going to be playing. Well, I'm going to take this because we already debunked the 145-degree weather in Qatar because it's going to be like 60s to 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I was going to make the joke, man, being in the Midwest during the summer, man, it's always like 95 and like 1,000% humidity and just no wind. I mean, that if you're gonna prepare for brutal heat, that'd be the place to go, I guess.
Hell yeah, you could go play in Nevada somewhere. If
Death
you really want to kill your players off. So you've already tried to freeze them to death.
Yeah, exactly. It's heat exhaustion. You know?
Now you can microwave them. All right. What more in this article? Do we have more?
That may have been it. Yep, that's all.
Okay.
So again, guys, if you want to read the whole article, go to Washington Post. Give them a read. Steven Goff was nice enough in the past to jump on our show.
Yeah, great guy. Nice guy.
7 years ago.
7 years ago, yeah. I don't know if he'd come back now. He probably would if we asked.
I don't see why he wouldn't have a problem with us.
We haven't asked. So most of the old press guys are still, like, I've been in touch with Steven in the last year, so he'd probably come on.
I don't think he'd have a problem at all.
No. And we're still friends on Facebook. Ooh. You're friends with Steven Goff?
Why don't you marry him?
I didn't say I love him. All right. Do we have any more questions? What was the other thing we were going to cover in this section?
The MLS article next, but let's cover this real quick.
Yeah. Christopher Ellie, $5. Thank you, Christopher. I think that's the first Ellie donation I've seen. I have a feeling strikers are going to be a crucial theme this World Cup, unlike the last one. So if anyone is firing, we have to call them up. Yeah. And, I don't think what Haji Wright's doing is just a matter of hotness. I mean, if you watch the games and you go back and watch it, he's also playing very well, too.
Sure. I mean, I haven't really watched any of the games.
But
I'm just going to say, as a striker, he's scored 12 goals so far this season.
And that gives him...
Seven of them came in the last 7 games.
But that
what happened in the previous 22 games?
So the other 22 games, he scored 5 goals. So that's just the math.
Solid math off the top of your head there.
Okay, so let me just ask you this. What's the most important thing? It's not that they're hot. It's that they have the C word, right?
Whoa, you can't say that on YouTube.
Oh, God. Confidence. Not consicle. All right?
Gotcha,
Jesus.
Gotcha.
I wonder if changing that to consicle would gonna save us on the bad word part.
Yeah. You get down the frozen section of the market, right?
I could say context.
You get 6 cunsicles in a box.
And why isn't the C word in the table of contents? I don't understand it.
Oh.
There's no context for that.
Well, hopefully strikers are scoring goals is not going to be crucial for us because Gregg can't get strikers to score a goal.
Yeah.
He can only get his wingers and his midfield to score and defense. Everybody but the striker, it seems. No, I know hyperbole, guys. Yes, I know that our strikers have scored goals, but the bulk of our goals come from others.
Okay, yeah. So Ferreira just scored a goal recently. Pepe hasn't scored since October of last year,
where he scored 3 in 2 games.
Sargent scored 2 goals for Norwich in 1 game, but that was months ago at this point.
Prior to his injury, okay.
Yep. P-Flock can score for his club team, but not for us very well. He did it once. He missed a sitter in the last game. That's not going to help his cause. Who else we usually talk about?
Somebody else missed a sitter in that game? Am I spacing somebody?
Pulisic.
Pulisic did, yeah. That's right, yeah.
But he's allowed to miss him. Pepe's not. For Gregg. I mean, he's already said he's not bringing Pepe to the June camp.
Absolutely, yeah.
He said he's giving him a rest.
And with the MLS teams pushing back, some of the MLS teams pushing back on Berhalter for releasing players early for the June window, which I think is Atlanta probably.
No,
they certainly have a history of it.
There's 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
There's Atlanta, Seattle.
What did you say no for?
And FC Dallas. Because both of them, what do they all have in common? They both could have potentially 2 of their players being asked to go away. Roldan Morris, Ferreira, someone else, maybe Ferreira. Who else? Areola. Ferreira, Areola.
Fair point.
And then the other one for Atlanta is Miles and maybe Brooks Lennon.
Don't you dare say Lennon.
Yeah. But, I would say Bello, but he doesn't play there anymore. So, yeah, Atlanta's going to be a pain in the ass. But I think all 3 of those teams feel like, okay, they're only gonna miss one game. But what if it's a really important game? Really important game for the season.
You win the other 39 games in the season?
I guess. I don't know.
All right, man, if you're banking your season off of that one incidental game in the middle of the summer, who on you?
Okay, I'll say this much. A lot of the other complaints I hear behind the scenes from MLS teams is that a lot of players come back from Berhalter's camps injured.
Sounds like a lot of Tuchelism coming out of MLS right now.
Miles?
Pulisic was tired because of all the time zones he traveled.
Miles, Reyna, McKennie, Adams have all come back from Gregg.
Yes,
injured before.
None outside of Miles, nobody else from MLS. Everybody else you mentioned was Europe. So
yeah,
that sounds like Atlanta bitching about some spilt milk there, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you what I'm hearing.
Sure.
All right, next.
It's an official friendly. They can't say shit.
I know.
They'd say they can't release them early. So
I know Dortmund tried to blame it on Gregg the first time before they fired their trainer.
But the first time that Reyna got injured, like back in like September.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, they were spreading shit behind the scenes, like, you work him too hard.
He was in camp with you for 6 whole days.
You
came back injured.
You play him too hard. you exhaust him. And so that's why when Reyna
all those half practices before games.
That's why Reyna didn't start any of those games last window. He came in off the bench, but he didn't start.
He's just recovering from an injury.
Because Dortmund was on the phone with Gregg saying, please don't overrun him.
I'm fine with that, but blaming his first injury back in September, that's bullshit.
Well, I don't think it was him specifically. It was Dortmund fans who were pissed.
Sure, you can make that argument, but that's an uneducated argument. And I'm not sitting here trying to defend Berhalter on it. I'm just flat out stating that it's stupid. He was literally in camp for like 7 days.
Well, and then go look at the Chelsea list of injured. Then go look at the Dortmund list of injured players.
Yeah,
off
exactly.
the charts. They got so many injured players, it's ridiculous. Both of those teams have throughout the season.
Yeah. When Reyna went out in like the third minute or whatever, obviously the last injury he had, that was like the number one thing on Twitter that day. When they're like, Reyna's going to be out for the remainder of the season. And everybody was literally saying, check your medical staff. What's wrong? Something's here,
When you go to their injured list on game day and there's 14 players listed.
There's more players injured than there are on the bench.
Yes.
We had to call in half of our 2 team,
Yeah, well, that's why Leonard Maloney got a call up one time this season, right?
Hey, winning. Dybala, the Dortmund rumors, I have not heard that. I've heard that he signed a pre-agreement with Inter. And that's rough, leaving Juventus and going to Inter. I mean, rough for Juventus. Have to.
Well, and
hopefully he doesn't score goals against them.
Sacrilege for Juventus fans. That's sacrilegious what he's doing.
Carlos had a rough tenure with Juventus, so I don't blame him. I don't blame him for wanting to head out.
But but in the recent last decade, you don't leave Juventus to go to Inter Milan, because they haven't been very good. It's been the other way around, right? Juventus should be stealing players from Inter Milan, who have been really, outside of very recently, a horrible team for a while, a good stretch. So they lost their sparkle.
So who lost their sparkle?
Inter Milan did for a while.
But they certainly rallied.
Yeah. So, should we? I meant AC Milan, by the way, the whole time I said Inter Milan.
There we go.
God damn it. Fuck that up. Somebody's going to snag me and hit me in the nuts for that one. Should we? Oh, speaking of nuts, should we be ball snuggling Vargas? He's a good prospect that has a lot to do to be a full-time senior team player. IMO.
Are you snuggling up to Vargas's balls, Derek?
No, I'm just going to send him to the U20 qualifiers for the Olympics, the tournament. Mm-hmm. That's where he belongs right now. He's 16 years old. I couldn't believe it when I looked it up last night. It's like, that kid's 16?
You've got the, obviously you've got the argument that people will make. Like if you're good enough, it doesn't matter what age you are. And
I
you
get
can
it.
make that argument. But again, outside of a short loan or a loan spell last season or season before, I guess, to a USL side, he's got like 8 games in MLS. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Yes,
And
promising talent, and he very well come November could be a highly contended player.
He played well last night, but that doesn't mean anything really. I mean, it's one game. I know he's played well in other games, but also keep in mind he hasn't been a regular. I mean, he hasn't like nailed down that top spot on the team where he's going to start every game. But he's somebody to keep an eye out. And I know people are going to be freaking out because he's another Mexican American. And we're going to lose them if we don't call him in. Listen, we can't do that with every player that shows promise. I mean, if we did that, we'd have to call up at least 20 guys I think have shown promise.
Well, and you have to remember that it's not just a single cap at this point. The player has to play 3 times for us or play in a Gold Cup or
Cup. Unless they're over the age of 21.
Well, not even that. Well, it would still cap them, and they can file the one-time switch if it's under 21.
Yeah.
Outside of that, they've got to wait the 3 years of not playing a cap or whatever the fuck it is now.
I mean, we're going to get to this later, but these young players letting Mexico talking them into maybe talking them.
Berhalter has such a great response to that.
Grooming
and I can't wait till we get to it. Yeah.
And probably giving them the same promises they gave Jonathan Gomez. So it's so premature for Ochoa. He had time. Just wait. Don't make a decision either way. That's the smart thing to do. Anyhow, also, is Keaton Parks blackballed? I don't think he is. I just don't think that Gregg rates him. And I don't know why.
Well, there are a number of people that just don't rate him because nobody talks about him outside of us and maybe a couple others. We've brought again. We whenever we bring him up, we say this. We've brought him up ever since his days at Benfica. It was Benfica, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just I don't know. When he came back to MLS, I'm like, well, maybe this will rebuild his national team options.
But I agree. I agree with you. I mean, we've been talking about it a long time here. I don't know why he's blackballed, if he is blackballed. And I don't think he is because I don't think he's ever been called. I don't know if he's even ever met Gregg before.
He's been in the national team, if anything, for a January camp.
Wasn't he on some sort of prelim list at one point too? I don't know. But I got to tell you, he doesn't seem like Gregg's that interested.
Clearly, it hasn't been a sniff at the national team.
Right. Oh, and by the way, one of the other things that Filippo said about the Tillman brothers and why he thinks it's going to be one of them is because Gregg was just recently in Germany. Yeah. And the first thing that came to my mind was, he went and watched Sargent, and that wasn't impressive enough for Sargent to make the team. So there you go. And he watched Sargent, play a really good game.
Sargent was so upset that he ended up twisting his ankle for 5 weeks.
That's the thing. Sargent's not the kind of guy that could get upset. He doesn't get upset. That's Reyna. That's Reyna's job. Reyna gets upset. He's upset.
He didn't call him in. Crack.
I mean, we got guys that don't get upset like McKennie, but it's not in the same way Sargent. Like Sargent's just a really nice guy, right? I don't think he
goes out there and busts his ass. I like him.
Yeah, I don't think he's raised his voice in his life. Whereas McKennie can be loud. He's a party. Here's more of a free spirit. He's not ready. For instance, he could. McKennie is not ready to settle down and get married and have kids. Sargent is barely a man, and he already has kids. So, and he's married. Is she German? His wife? I was told somebody said his wife was German.
I mean, it's possible, given that he was there for 2 years.
Yeah. So you would think so.
And not just on top of his head.
Needs more fire in his belly. Yes. And those 2 dangling things connected to the bottom of the belly. He needs a little bit more of that.
He has 1 cap at the national team, and it happened in 2018. So pre-Berhalter.
That's Saracen.
So that's when he was, throwing everything at the wall plus the kitchen sink to see what would fit there.
Right. Well, those were his orders. So he.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He did it.
So
Herodotus, which sounds like a Greek venereal disease, 7, says, my Herodot, I caught Herodotus from Hermia. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. What?
The Sargent's special lady friend.
Oh, Jesus, I'm sick. I'm not going to be able to
Literally
carry.
just got done talking about Sargent and his fire.
Dude, when I'm not sick, how long can I hold a thought? Seriously.
I agree. All right, let's cover one more question, and then we'll jump into it. Let's see. We'll just cover this one. Just go down the list.
Which non-MLS locations, teams, would it make sense for Hoppy to go to? I think he'd do well in the championship, Millwall in particular. Chris, it is Millwall.
Are you a Millwall fan?
He must be, because who the fuck knows anything about Millwall? I mean, listen, anywhere in the championship would work, so fine. Why not Millwall? You know, it worked for DK the first time. I think that Hoppy could he's one of those kids that might end up somewhere back in Germany again on a newly promoted team or on loan, you know, to them, or any of the top 4 or 5 teams in Holland. I'd be fine with Feyenoord,
maybe Schalke will buy him back again.
You mean once they get promoted?
Wouldn't that be funny? No, we talked about this before, and we brought up Netherlands as an option, a solid option.
Yeah, you got PSV, Feyenoord. I mean, even Heerenveen.
Just go down mid-table. He just needs to find playing time at this point. I don't want him to have to compete with another top-tier team in insert league here. I just want him to go and play.
Well, then don't go to Ajax. That's all I got to say.
Sure,
because I don't think he played there. I wouldn't do what Sargent did and go play for some probably guaranteed team to be, relegated. In England.
In Sargent's defense, he's at least playing. He got a shit ton of playing time.
And now that he's going to the championship, as Chris Gary says here, thank you for the $4.99, Chris. Yeah, I mean, he should kill it there. I mean, when does he always kill it in Germany? It was the cup games against lower teams. He would kill the game. So Chris and oddly enough, Christopher, thanks both for the super chats. I don't know if we said that at the time. Sorry about that. And like I said, the sad thing for Hoppy and Sargent is, had they stayed with their teams instead of leaving, both of them would have played a lot of minutes in Bundesliga 2 and would have scored a lot of goals and might be in much more contention on Gregg's list for the national team.
God, I had this debate on Twitter about Sargent leaving Bremen, and somebody was talking about how he burned bridges with Bremen, and I'm like, well, if memory serves me correct, yes and no. But if memory serves me correct, and I had to do a little bit of research back in the back, but he
I know where this is going.
Bremen got the offer.
Mm-hmm.
It was being finalized. Mm-hmm. Sargent didn't play in the cup game that they ended up losing in. Literally days before he was finally listed as a Norwich player. So I'm just like, he was still out there playing.
Fuck Bremen. Fuck Bremen. Hey, you didn't even have to let this happen. If you would have said, "Fuck, no, we don't."
Deny. It could have easily blocked the transfer. Said, "Nah, MLS does it all the time." So.
Yep. Sorry, we want him for this very important cup game. God, really? Give me a break. You don't have anybody else that could play that cup game? All right.
So the last article we wanted to cover, and then we'll cover the rest of the questions, guys. Good Lord, how far is this? On MLS, Berhalter addresses dual national recruiting as Mexico eyes Mendez.
Yeah, go for it. Mendez. Just ruin the rest of your career.
Well, which one was it? Let's go down the list. I've got 5 screen caps. I don't feel like trying to navigate through this article because, it'd be me doing this the entire time.
Right.
So we're not going to play that game.
We just had this whole funny discussion about Mexican Americans, and it's like
predatory capping, and Berhalter talks about it, which is why I think he listens to our show.
Are we the only one that call it predatory capping?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think.
I don't know.
We're trendsetters here at the Straight Red Card. Guys.
Well, I think I've heard Jason Davis say it once.
It's possible. That's a good point. That's true. You got the topic off of them before our live stream, so it's possible Dave said it too. And I just don't think anybody goes out there and says predatory capping.
Right.
So
I'm going to read this like Gregg Berhalter would. The thing is, I always say I want them to choose with their heart. I want them to feel. Could you imagine growing up with parents and having a real strong cultural background? The country of that background.
Sorry.
I think that's special. Even though the United States, there's still this deep connection to their country, and some of them have to leave, and they can't. I guess that's what that is.
Well, did I zoom in too far in here?
Yeah, you cut it off.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go.
Some of the cock block was blocked. All right, where were we? And so for me, if a guy really chooses that, I'm happy. I'm happy for him because that is what he feels in his testicles.
So what Berhalter is saying here is basically what we've more or less assumed from the quotes from other Mexican American players who played for the U.S. and then went and played for Mexico before officially becoming cap-tied, and those are few and far between at this point. But they basically said, Berhalter said, go ahead and give the Mexico camp a look.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And that's his point. Basically, he's not here to force or guilt a player into representing the United States national team. He says, hey, clearly we're interested. We've had you in a number of camps. Using Araujo as an example, you've been with our youth team since U15s. Olympic qualifying, we brought you into the seniors for a few. If you want to go check out the Mexican national team, go for it. It's your choice.
I mean, we just got Pepe, got Ferreira, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they don't have to be Mexican American, we got Dest, we got Musa. Hell, almost every player on our roster is a dual nat, including Pulisic and Reyna. And we've gone down this list before, but if you missed it, Horvath, Yedlin, Bello, Roldan, Luca De La Torre, Bucio, Pifak, Weah, Areola, Adunze, Brooks, CCV, Miazga, Mihailovic, etc., etc. The list goes on. All right, I'm going to stop there. So, listen, that's just the nature of the game right now. There are a lot of dual nats, and we got a shitload of them on our team already. Now, most of them are good enough to play for some of the countries they qualify for, but most of them did it because they wanted to play with this group of players because they thought it was a special team, and they wanted to represent the USA. There you go. Well, some of them don't say that, but they always say they're proud to do that. Farrell, Among Us.
I'm reading through the chat too.
Gizmo has a strong Cheech and Chong vibe. Actually, it is from it's a copy of Adam Sandler's The Talking Goat. Oh,
you keep on knocking, but you can't come in. That goes for the Cheech and Chong reference.
Yeah. Well, no, his one is when it's the talking goat gets off the truck and he goes out for a pass because the guy has a football and he throws out really hard and it conks him right in the head. And the goat says, "God damn, you really button hooked me there. Fucking knocked me off my goddamn trousers. You're a regular Roger fucking Staubach over there." So anyhow, if you haven't seen the Talking Goat skit, go watch it. I mean, get stoned and then go watch it. Or you don't have to get stoned. If you're naturally high, you'll find it funny. It's a very old album though. It's got to be 20 years old. It was one of his first CDs, comedy CDs. Yeah. And all the other guys that you would think would be on it are on it with him. David Spade, the whole rash of characters. And when I say rash, I don't mean that in a bad way. All right. Jesus is Colombian, right? Yes. But I do believe one of his grandparents was also Mexican. But I might be wrong.
You're wrong.
I am. For some of my family, that's true. Actually, for most of my family, that's true.
Yeah.
But just a certain small portion of my family doesn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. But anyhow, that's a whole religious thing I don't want to get into. And that has nothing to do with how I feel about anything. So I think so. When I speak to guys like Ricardo and Jesus and Jonathan Gomez, and have conversations with them, they feel a connection, said the coach. I don't know about
this is in reference to Araujo saying that he didn't feel like he had a connection with anybody from the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah. Well, I don't. That always didn't go over well with me.
I don't believe it would be true anyways. But
yeah, it's not always easy, though. I think that in general, I would like for the Latin players to be pushed more in the positive way, that we're looking to develop them more and that we're putting more effort into developing the Latin community as well, because I think it's important. He's right. Mm-hmm. We talk to all the guys. We talk constantly to all these players. We're very engaged in the process, really engaged in the process. But I also realize that sometimes a player has his heart to do something else, and I'm fine with that. That reminded me, so funny, even though he's not a Latin player, how Ernie and him went to see Keith Perry, and they asked for his text number and his phone number for a cell, and Keith Perry wouldn't give him his number. That's got to be embarrassing. There, he's like, no, that's fine. We'll just stay in touch this way for now, But hey,
just judging off of this quote, it's a shame Joe Scally's not Latin American, because at least they get kept in the loop of and within communications.
I don't think we know what the fuck Scally is. Do we? Is he Latin? No, I doubt it. Not with the last name Scally, but his mom,
European of some form.
His mom could be of Latin origins.
No, because if that were the case, Berhalter and USSF would be keeping up communications with him. I'm just going off of what Berhalter's saying, guys.
Oh boy, no, Berhalter does a good job generally keeping in contact with players, even if it's to let them down. And then Jonathan Gomez, that's the only one on this list I don't believe yet.
Well, I'm sure he's keeping constant contact with them.
Only one I don't think we've really won over.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So
I mean, he literally just played for the Mexican national team. So
exactly. He's still, he's testing, this beer and that beer right now.
Yeah, he's just talking about keeping up communications, which is, again, one thing that that Araujo was saying. He's like, I just didn't feel like I had a connection with the anybody from the U.S. men's national team. Yeah. And he basically saying, I feel like we're in constant contact, especially with a lot of our Latin American players.
And I think that, what he's generally doing at this point, he's got a Dos Equis to his left and he's got a Michelob to his right. And he's sipping one and going, okay, that's pretty good. And then he sips the other one. All right, which one tastes better? Which experience?
Hopefully it's not water, because then he'd have to choose America, because
which
stomach bug by drinking the Mexican water.
God, you should not have said that.
What? That's a common joke. I mean, hell, they went to Mexico and they all, like, half the team got a stomach bug.
Dude, I know friends that have gone to Mexico and had that issue as well. But so I guess what he's doing, he's basically, by the way, Corona's brewed, so all that goes out of the water. All right, so it reaches a certain temperature, all the bad stuff.
Sure,
that's why
that's why you can drink beer and you can drink their spirits.
That's why our founding fathers got up and didn't drink water; they drank beer all fucking day.
Because it definitely didn't have quite the alcohol content that we experience in beer nowadays. But yes, yep. That's why they odd subject, but they in ancient Egypt. They not, instead of quote unquote paying, they gave their slaves, they gave them a bunch of beer. That was their diet, basically, because it was predominantly it had a lot more nutritional value behind it, and there's like almost no alcohol content to it either.
This reminds me of like the 1883 New York jail riots, and the fact that back then the riot was because they weren't getting good enough food. They were sick of eating lobsters and clams because all that shit was so cheap back then. It was literally the cheapest shit they could get. Like, I'll eat lobster all fucking day, man.
I'd riot as well.
Jesus Christ, I'd be eating.
Give me some fucking beef. I'd be steak, like, damn it.
Give me butter and I'm good to go. Give me some melted butter and I'll just eat all of the seafood. So anyhow, I don't know where the fuck that came out of.
Yeah,
Yep.
Casanova. If all beer in the past was that high, we all would have died of dehydration at some point in our life.
Yes, yeah. But Benjamin Franklin is noted for waking up. Most of our founding fathers were, if you want to call them that. If you don't, okay, fine. Anyhow, most of them drank all day, but it was like a 3% sort of thing. Sometimes
it's like drinking Coors Light all day. I mean, you got to stay hydrated somehow.
I mean, when I was a kid, my dad drank beer all day on the weekends, but he drank shitty beer, so it's like 3% alcohol. He might as well have been drinking water. You know, all he was doing is making himself, have to jog more to run it off. God Kong Snake, was Derek there for the 1893 jail riots? That's not nice. I'm not that old. Born in 1971, Jimmy Carter was president, I think.
So, in reference to all of the Mexican American players that are that have accepted call-ups to the Mexico national team,
I think Ford was president when I was born. Just so to clarify, I think it was either Ford or just Ford right after Nixon. I can't remember. How that all played out. Anyhow, the track record's not great, right? And that's something the players should be aware of. The track record, I love this, for guys going over to Mexico from the United States and actually contributing isn't there. And they're locking some of those guys in, and that's it. And for us, I urge the players to keep it open and see what happens. Keep developing. But any player wants to feel wanted, right? Again, this is all comes down to the Jonathan Gonzalez situation, which apparently Ochoa never knew anything about, or anybody else knew about before. Araujo hadn't heard about this before he made his decision, because they're young, right? And that happened many, many years ago.
Ooh, like what, a whopping 3 years ago? 4 maybe?
You can look it up, but I think it's 4 at this point, yeah. Anyhow, they made a lot of promises to Jonathan Gonzalez. And just to inform other shows who didn't know, Jonathan Gonzalez does not play for Monterrey. He plays for Quintero. Actually, that's an exaggeration. He's on Quintero's roster. How's about that? He plays occasionally.
January 2018.
Okay, so that's 4 years ago, about somewhere 3.5.
About 4 and a quarter.
Okay. Oh yeah, we're in 2022. I'm so sick. Oh my god, can't believe I'm getting through this. I haven't sweat too bad though, even though I have a fever of 103. All right. Any other pieces you had from this article?
Yeah. This was, first off, this was the quote that I enjoyed the most from him, because this is something that we bring up all the time too and talk about these players. And if that's fine. Again, with dual nats, it's their choice. If they choose to go with a specific country that's not us, that's again their prerogative. But again, the Mexican American players who end up choosing Mexico generally don't contribute that much, and that could change. That could change, but history is not on their side.
By who? Who's going to change it would be my question.
Know.
Yeah. I mean, just go down some of the list here. Richie Ledesma. Okay, well, call me up when he starts playing for PSV on a regular basis.
Which, again, I haven't heard any. I mean, for the most part, I haven't seen anything from Ledesma saying that he's anything but interested in playing in the United States until he says otherwise.
Cade Cowell. Okay, go for it, Cade. I don't even know if he speaks Spanish. Anyhow, that doesn't matter. But if he's going to have to learn to speak Spanish if he plays for the Mexican national team. Mendez and Fazela. Hear that one all the time. I'm not worried about it, folks. Sebastian Soto, who could play for a multitude of different. I'm not worried about him. He can't get playing time at a shitty fucking goddamn Scottish team. All right. And I'm not going to go down the whole list. We know who they are. However, on the other hand, when we have brought Mexican-American players into our fold, they do play for us. All right. Gonzo.
Bornstein.
Alvarado. Jose Torres, Joe Corona, Edgar Castillo, William Yarborough. They all got shots. Villafana, Greg Garza, all of them got shots. Multiple shots to play for their U.S. Nats.
Mm-hmm. A number of them were stables for a while.
Yep, they were. So Greg's got it right here. Like, if you're looking at the record, if you're a Mexican-American and you're looking at the records, Hercules Gomez, another one, the list could be endless. If you're looking at the records, you're going, that didn't work out there for Jonathan Gonzalez at all. And then there's no other example, right? Except for the fact that Alvarez has been called in a few times, but he's not a starter, doesn't really play. But when they actually play for like a qualifier, where is he? He's not there. There's no Ochoa. I mean, they got their own Ochoa already. So they don't need another Ochoa, apparently. So I don't know. I wouldn't take, or Brajo has been called up as well, but it's not like he's got a lot of work to do to become a starter on that team on Mexico. Mexico still have good players coming up too. I don't think people realize that, but I mean, I know they're playing mostly an old group of guys right now, but they still have some pretty, Tata doesn't call them up, but they have some pretty impressive players coming up. We'll see.
This is the one quote that I was not a huge fan of.
Yeah, with the goalkeeper situation, if the Costa Rica game on March 30th goes a little differently, no one's talking about that. No one's talking about the goalkeeper situation, contended Berhalter. Again, it's a short-term memory with people. They're focused on one game. Well, just because Stefan had a bad game, is that what he's talking about?
Sure, but I mean, people have been talking about our goalkeeper situation for a while prior to that game.
Yeah, he's just not paying attention.
He sees one bad game from Stefan. You can make the argument that he didn't have a great qualifier. As in general, I mean, again, Turner was probably the only one that I could say that probably had a successful qualifier.
Turner had one bad game I can remember. One. Yeah, that's it. And that's the one where he failed to react. Couldn't get more than like 4 inches off the ground as he dove to the right. It's almost like he slipped or something. I'm not sure, but
yeah. I mean, God Kong says we've been talking about the goalkeeper situation for months. Greg, you loon.
No shit. Turn on some shows, dude.
But he talks about how he's like, Stefan's a very good goalkeeper. He's done really good in games in the past. He's going to continue to do good. Turner is back into form. He's going to keep going. Gaga's young and upcoming. We have Sean Johnson, who's been strong in the league. Ethan Horvath's contributed. I'm confident that come November, one of those guys will turn it around.
Stefan Fry was great last night, by the way.
Yeah.
It's too bad that he's just, God, he's not that old. He's old, but for a keeper, not like ancient. What is he, 36, 37? Should we really just toss the baby out with the bathwater on that one?
He's not a baby, but
I know, but I'm saying
36. That's
not that old for a goalkeeper. Sean Johnson's not far behind him.
You're teetering in your elder years at that point, though. I'm not saying that he can't still perform. I'm just saying by 36, you're starting to.
He keeps playing like that all the way up to the World Cup. I take him instead of Sean Johnson. Sorry, I just would. I think he's a
sure. Well, Johnson's what, 32, 34 area?
33? I don't know, somewhere between there. Yeah. But if you're talking about good with your feet, I don't think there's much difference. But if you're asking me about shot stopping,
reading that chat,
he's slow and reacts slow and can't play with his feet. That's gross. I'm glad he doesn't play with his feet. That's grody. Especially while the game's going on. No, I get it, but Sean Johnson's not a rock star at that either, and neither is Matt Turner. So I saw Fry make
Turner's definitely not slow to react, though.
Slow to react to what? Did they watch the game last night and the save Fry made? That changes that whole game to me if he doesn't make that reaction save. And some of his long passes weren't bad last night. No, I wouldn't be playing out of the back with him. I agree with you on that.
God Kong, I don't think you mentioned Guzan because he blew his ACL or Achilles or whatever.
Really bad.
He's out. He's out.
Yep. He's going to be out for a good long while. And as a goalkeeper, man, you need that part of your body working because you got to push off the ground. So
unless you just like fall over to the side, maybe to work.
you mean like Matt Turner did versus what was it, Canada? He's just like he never even got off the ground. He just kind of fell down to the right.
You got to make it look like he at least tried there. So,
all right.
This is in reference to our strikers not being in the highest peak performances at this point.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to underplay this, but France won the World Cup without a striker scoring a goal. Greg, no, don't say that. It could be done. Yes, it could be done, and it's been done once, right? It's not that dire. Yes, it is. Would I want our striker to be scoring more goals? Of course, but it's also up to the team to provide them opportunity to score. Well, that's on you too. You got to set up a way.
I have this system set up for our strikers to score goals, but they're just not getting the ball. I don't know what could be the cause of that.
Yeah, couldn't be my system. That's on the players.
No, sure. I mean, these guys score for their clubs. I mean, not all of them, but
not anymore.
They score for their clubs, but
Ferreira still does. P-Fox still does. Yeah, right. Sardis is now in Colorado after being basically told by his coach in Columbus that he just doesn't have it anymore. I mean, we all knew that anyhow about Sardis. All right. Let's see. More?
Sorry. Somebody brought up, or Big Harry, Jake brings up, reminds me of Chris Rock. You can drive your car with your feet if you want to. Don't make it a good effing idea. Sorry, the only reason I brought this up is because of Chris Rock. Now, did you receive the the text message I sent you about
yes,
Dave Chappelle
getting tackled?
Yeah.
By some guy with a gun knife. It was like a fake gun, but it had a knife on it or something weird like that. And then they took him backstage and beat the living shit out of him.
Yeah. I love that the Chris Rock comes out and goes, "Was that Will Smith?"
Yeah. That was Smith would have done Will Smith would have done the slap, not a tackle. I don't know what this guy was thinking, and I still haven't figured out why he did it, but I don't know if I care.
His brother came out and said that he's been homeless since he's been like 13.
Oh, so he's
and he's got a lot of trans friends. And given the last special from Chappelle, that's what they're kind of piecing things together. There's nobody's actually stated anything, but
have they mentioned any mental health issues yet? Because that's the only reason
I'm sure there is.
You charge up onto a stage and tackle a comedian. So, and the DA will not press felony charges, just misdemeanor. Well, that might be Dave too, saying I don't want to do that, But I don't know. I don't know the answer. But let's stop charging the stage at this point. I mean,
if you don't like a joke,
just fucking leave.
Yeah.
If he can't sell tickets because no one's there, then your cause wins, right?
Yeah.
But apparently people do like listening to him. So I guess you're just going to have to disagree with all the people that do like him and move on with life. Or you can tackle him randomly on a show somewhere and get your ass kicked in backstage and end up in the hospital. I don't recommend that. I mean, God, what happened to the old days when if you hated a celebrity, you just walked up and shot him?
Let's not put that in their minds, Derek. Come on.
I mean, that's what it was like in the 80s when that randomly happened on occasion, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess people are like, well, I'm going to stab him. That seems like a really hard thing to do. But it looked like he slipped as he was going towards to stab him or something. And then ended up just kind of tackling him in the video. But anyhow, that's interesting. We live in a fucking weird world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Desi, if you were on a deserted island, oh God, that would suck for me. And you could only pick one movie and food item, what would it be? I know one movie I wouldn't if I was on an island. Jaws. I wouldn't pick that movie because
for educational purposes, you could go with Castaway.
I could, yeah. For the spearfishing things. Don't be afraid.
You throw a stick.
Yeah.
Now, if it's just asking what movie I could pick and then food, I'm going to go with 13th Warrior and a steak. I mean, you can always eat steaks. I'd love just to eat steaks every day. That'd be glorious.
I'd eat lobster every day, but I need
Be
butter.
More fitting that you're on a deserted island.
But I can't do it without butter. That's the problem. I need butter to eat lobster. So that's the problem.
No cows on that island either.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to get a cow on there. As far as my movie,
God. I know you're not a movie guy, but you have to have a movie that you watch a lot.
Have watched.
Just go
a lot.
Like a fallback. I need to watch something as I'm going to sleep, throw on a movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Back in the day before YouTube became a huge thing.
Back when you still had it on VHS. I guess that would be Waterloo, believe it or not. That's how big of a goddamn nerd I am about history.
Pick a long movie.
And that is a long one.
Yeah.
It's so yeah, that's a good one. And it has the most amazing cinematic war scenes I've ever seen in a movie. It's amazing. They literally hired the Russian army to and dressed them all up in the uniforms of the period to play the British, the French, the Dutch, and the Belgians. So and the Germans. Well, there was the King's German Legion was there, so I guess technically they're German as well. Anyhow, I swear, Derek, be having me dead.
Quit killing our listeners, Derek. What the fuck? I'm gonna pick Waterloo because I'm a big old fucking nerd.
I am a fucking nerd. I fully admit it. I have read over 35 books on Napoleon in my life.
That's a good pick there outside of the shrimp shit.
Prestige? I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Prestige.
I know.
It's a magic movie.
I don't know the movie. It's a magic movie?
So Prestige is with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman?
How old is it?
2000s range, the knots.
I don't know why I missed so many movies in the 2000s.
Prestige. Is that Prestige? I mean, that might be the
I know I didn't become an avid movie watcher again until my son was like 5. But then we went to kids' movies, right?
Yeah. I'm right.
And then as he got older, we started going to more grown-up movies.
Prestige worldwide. Boats and Hoes.
What's the movie? The first grown-up movie my son and I went to is the one where they go to sleep and then they go to sleep in the sleep.
Inception,
yeah. And he had some really good evaluations at the age of whatever he was, 7.
It's a good movie.
On the movie. And it was a great movie. It's a fucking mind trip. Yeah, I enjoyed that movie. I don't know, but I'd still stick with a movie I could watch over and over again that cinematically blows my mind and is historic at the same time.
Casanova, you're not allowed to pick 2 movies and a food. You only have to pick 1 movie and a food.
I don't think Scarlett Johansson is a food. Last I checked.
Sure.
I mean, she could be in a very sick world. Your sick world, not mine. All right. What is the percentage chance that he actually selects CCV for the World Cup roster? If I had to put a number on it, I'd give him a 15% shot. It just depends on how well he continues to play, and how well EPB continues to play.
Yes, because you have to remember that by World Cup time, hopefully at that point, Richards is back.
Yeah.
So
it's a battle between EPB and CCV because you've already got Miles, you've already got Zem, and you've probably already got. I mean, this is Greg. You got Long, and we know he loves those guys. So, and I know, Filippo had some criticism of Zimmerman's some of his screw ups during the qualifying. He's right. Zimmerman made some mistakes, but I think his positives far outweighed any of those tiny mistakes. And he brought up the Jamaica game that should have been a goal, and that was all on Zimmerman. But I don't think it was all on Zimmerman if you go watch it back. I don't think it's all on him. So, and then some of the goals on set pieces aren't his fault either, because we played a pseudo zone, which that sucks.
ScarJo was in Prestige. I forgot all about that. Thanks, Rugga.
Oh, so he was just those were all movies. I thought he was doing 2 movies and a food. And I'm like, yeah. Scarlett Johansson is definitely not a food. Last I looked. She might be for a shark or a bear, a grizzly bear, or a fucking Wolverine.
Are you telling me that you wouldn't eat that out?
Okay, well, hold on. That's not the kind of eating we were talking about. And at my age, no, I probably wouldn't. I'd be like, listen, you don't want none of this. This is old. All right. All this is old here. Just you move on. Just recommend you move on. I'm honest about my relationships, Brett.
Okay.
I tell the girls right away, this is what's going to happen. And if you don't like that, you probably should leave now. No, I don't do that. Right at the restaurant. First thing we do when I sit down. All right, here are the things I like. Here are the things I don't like. All right. How did I go? How'd that work for you? Didn't work? Okay, I got to leave. Next. Shit on my face.
That was a good one, Colin.
Yeah, it's so funny because when I grew up, people used to call me Richie Rich or Richie Cunningham as a joke. They'd be like, hey, Richie Cunningham, get over here. I'm like, that's my fucking last name, not my first name. He said, I don't give a shit. Come over here, Richie. And what was the famous saying on Happy Days? Sit on it, Potsy. Sit on it. So anyhow, going back to sit on my face, which I have never really asked for that. That's not something that's not my first request.
Anybody in the chat ever watched the movie Grandma's Boy? The protagonist in that has a line where he talks to the lead female character and says, sit on my face. But you have to watch that movie to get that reference.
Never heard of that.
Oh, it's a good fucking movie. It's a Happy Madison movie.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. You would enjoy it. There's a lot of, in it.
Isn't that with
playing video games?
What's his face? Adam Sandler?
He's not in it.
Oh, there's a Happy Madison without Happy? Oh, no, that's Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. Happy Madison is his production company.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, he mixed Happy Gilmore with the other movie?
Billy Madison, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Really confused the fuck out of me for a second. But oh, well. Oh, God, it's been forever since I have seen that stoner movie. Man,
it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Cheech and Chong were sort of the originators of all that shit, Mm-hmm. And I just remember one part of that movie where the guy goes in for a haircut, and he's not got a lot of hair, but he has an accent. He says, "Be careful, I've got herpes." And the guy's like, "You got herpes?" "No, herpes."
Herpes.
He's like, "I'm not touching your hair, dude. I'm not touching your hair. You got herpes up here. I'm not touching that." Anyhow.
Jose says, no, Roldan or Morris. Oh, God, what will we do?
Have to say they both played great last night against a not very good Pumas team, honestly. Yeah. Not a very impressive team. And we'll get to that in the tape segment.
What's interesting with Roldan is he flat out mentioned at some point, I don't know what interview it was, that the main reason why he's included in the rosters is because he's like good locker room.
I thought you were going to say because he's good looking. Well, if that's the case, his brother Alex should have been called up too. So I only got 1 hour of sleep last night, so everybody knows that. So that's why I'm probably going to fade here soon. I've already started fading. I mean, I'm still awake, but my mind's working in very odd ways right now. We got any others?
Yeah, there's a few others here. Football is Life says, I'm confused. How is that a story? If he's starting from scratch, what's the difference if you just sack him and bring in a new guy? Basically, this is in reference to Berhalter saying he's not going to reinvent the wheel. He's going to redefine it. But it's a good point. I mean, if Berhalter is going to reinvent the wheel, why not just bring in a different coach?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, We all knew that he was not. We've been saying it for weeks. He's not going to do anything that dramatic in these last. We don't have a whole lot of games left, so he's got to keep the core together. He's got to make sure they're all know what the fuck's going on. Roldan was on Conrad's show too. Jesus Christ,
yeah.
Jimmy's got them all. Roldan, I don't want Roldan on our show, so there's that.
He's got the end. I mean, they're all good friends with Brad Evans, and Brad Evans, welcome to the show.
Yeah, but Brad Evans hasn't been on Seattle for eons.
Yeah, he's still a big face of them, though.
Does he still work for the team somehow? He must have a job.
I feel, yeah, he does.
I'm
not sure what he does, but I know he does.
Roldan mentioned on Conrad's show, he is there to help the starters in training. Well, at least he isn't claiming he should be starting anymore.
Not anymore, yeah. Maybe Berhalter made that clear. But
yeah.
I guess that begs the question, come World Cup, I mean, is Berhalter still going to include him for that reason? If that is officially the reason why he's there.
Well, somebody's got to go to the World Cup and not play at all, right? That happens. Someone's not going to play. Not with a 26-man roster. Someone's not going to get to play.
Fair enough.
2 goalies and at least a handful of others. So you need the locker room guys that are there just in case like 3 guys break a leg. Okay, well there's that guy, right? And that doesn't happen in a World Cup normally.
Yeah.
What normally happens is some Brazilian guy nearly crushes the skull of Tab Ramos, or this Italian guy elbows fucking McBride and breaks his skull in his nose, and he bleeds profusely off the field. That's what happens. But broken legs, not so much. And by the way, McBride got patched up and went out and played. So
he had a golf ball sticking out of his eyeball.
Yeah, it was disgusting. But that's one of the toughest motherfuckers that ever played for the United States men's national team.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Couldn't take him down.
Guy was a fucking warrior.
Clayton Paul says, let's say worst case scenario happens in the World Cup. We crash out of the group stage with 0 points. Does Berhalter still get a new contract?
No, he's done. He's got to get us out of the group. Even he said so. We got to get out of the group. That's the goal right now, because anything can happen after that. But we got to get out of the group. I think he knows. That's like the bare minimum now for the United States. I mean, it used to be. Now, I guess bare minimum is qualified. So, but with this group of guys, I think 0 points.
Bare minimum for me is you've already coached this cycle. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I mean, Brett wants him gone.
Even
if he fucking by some miracle wins the fucking World Cup.
Yeah, even that. You're out. It's only downhill from there, Greg.
It would be.
It would be.
Yeah.
It'd only be downhill from there. At that point, if I were Greg, and if you won the World Cup as with the United States national team, and your name is Gregg Berhalter, at that point, you're like, no, I'm done. It's never going to be better than this.
Yep. I mean, unless you win 2 in a row, which is possible since the next World Cup's here, 2026. So he could win 2 in a row if he were somehow freakishly to win 2022, which is not going to happen, folks. We're not going to win the World Cup. It would be nice to see us get to the quarterfinals. I would like that. Get to the quarterfinals and be competitive in every game. Like not get blown out by anybody, not get smacked around. But really smack back when they smack. I'd like to see that. That sounded like a fucking Three Stooges skit there.
All right, so Johnny Bucket says, this might be sacrilegious, but with Gio's injury history, I don't think he's going to make the World Cup. Thoughts?
Dude, that's a coin flip at this point.
We're talking about 5 months from now.
Yeah, but
6 months, actually. 6 months.
Yep.
Here's hoping that Dortmund actually is paid for a decent medical staff and they get him working the right shit. Because at 6 months from now, I'm hoping that that's more than enough time. Because he already had 5 months prior to that. He re-injured it, or maybe it was never fully healed. I don't know.
It's possible.
And then 6 months, I'm hoping that it doesn't take almost a full year to recover from this.
That would suck.
It would absolutely suck.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like the kind of injury that should take that long to heal. So I'm betting if he's healthy, he's there, though.
Yeah, absolutely will, yeah.
Yep, he's there. All right. John Brooks, done.
We've already done, yeah.
Oh. Learn from Samson's mistake.
So this is in reference to not reinventing the wheel and just, refining process.
Yeah. Yep. That's the 4-6-1 that we played.
Yeah. All right.
Or the 3-6-1. I'm sorry.
1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1.
Yeah. Brian DeMarco. How important do you guys think it is for us to persuade Vargas to come to the United States men's?
This is a different one from the snuggling of his nuts. question earlier.
Again, I don't think you can necessarily persuade them like with words, except for being interested in their development and being there for them and inviting them to the U20, tournament and showing that you're interested. That's how people get persuaded. They think you're personally invested in them. You're not going to be able to sit them down and say, "All right, you see this Jonathan Gonzalez story from 4 years ago in ESPN FC? I want you to watch this, okay?" And it lays out how he got fucked by the Mexican team. You want to get fucked? You want to get fucked, Vargas? Then you make the bad decision. That conversation's probably not going to happen. Although Brett Berhalter just said in the article we just read, he's already laying out.
He's like, I want all of our dual nats to be happy with their decisions and where they go. That being said, all the Mexican Americans that have gone to play for Mexico have done nothing. They've had no chances
so far. Yep.
Now, I mean, as far as Vargas is concerned, just obviously start with communication. Get with the U20s and bring them, possibly bring them in. Although I know that's right around the corner too. So I mean, it's an unfortunate timing with that cycle. But
we missed 2 chats from Chris.
No, so if I recall correctly, and we'll double check after this one's done. But Chris A's second question had to do with the Sounders, and we covered that already. We talked about it. But we'll go back. We'll go back. Okay. Well, let's finish this one up. So then, because there's some follow-ups on that. So let's see. For the Love of Soccer blog says, over the past couple of years, I feel like I've seen U.S. Men's National Follows want everyone to be on the U.S. Men's National team. Not everyone can be on the team. They may even be pretty good too. So basically, what he's saying is, the U.S. fans all want everybody to be on the team, but everybody can't be on the team.
I mean, if the people got to understand, they're not just Mexican dual nats out there, Mexican American dual nats. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of German dual nats. There are English dual nats, like at Mountain. There are at Balagan. There are dual nats that play in Spain, like Shashua. There are dual nats everywhere, folks. So we can't just get so focused on just one group. We've got to have them all in there. And when you put them all in there, we're talking about upwards of about 60-something kids, right? Very young, coming up through systems that could play for multiple countries. And you can't cap all fucking 60 of them. You got to wait for them to develop. You can't go, oh, God, it could be that he'll pick someone else. No. You tell them, listen, it's your decision. Here's the benefits of playing for us because we're going to care about you. We want to help you develop. That worked with Musa. It worked for Dest. So I'd say whatever Gregg's doing is working on that level. Pepe, success. Total success. We just got him. So, all right.
Yeah.
If all these dual nationals make decisions with the wrong head, they're only fucking themselves. I think I just said that. Said, if you want to get fucked after reading the Jonathan Gonzalez story, that's what's going to happen. Then you go ahead and keep doing what you're doing, but you're going to get fucked.
So, Godcom, Chris A's second question had to do with the success at the Club World Cup. We talked about that earlier. Because we brought this one up because of John Brooks, and we brought that second question up. We covered it.
Club World Cup?
Yeah.
No. I don't remember that.
Yeah, we talked about it. You want to bring it up again? We'll talk about it again, sure.
We were going to talk about it in the next segment because Seattle just made it.
That's what I know. I said we covered it.
We're going to cover it more in the next segment.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. And I don't know what that had to do with John Brooks.
It was a 1 and a 2 question, so we had 2 different questions.
Okay.
Hold on. I was about to say some things popped up. We had 19 notifications. I figured something had to be important here.
Rumors have been airing. Is that swirling? That Malik, sorry, it's very small. Malik Tillman.
Hold on. There you go.
Malik Tillman could be the next dual nat to represent the U.S. men's national team. Gregg Berhalter views him as a possible option at the number 9 position in this cycle. If he accepts, he could be in June camp, but it has been a tough recruitment battle. It is because he's still so young. I would, if I were Malik Tillman, in my heart, we're still with Germany. mostly because that's the youth teams he's played for, and that's who he's always said he wanted to play for. He does not need to make a decision yet. He can wait.
Well, if he comes in the June, well, so that's the tricky thing. Let's put it this way: if he comes in the June window, at least just into camp, maybe he plays in a friendly. It's
Right.
not cap tying, as long as he doesn't play in the Nations League for us.
Right.
So I mean, it wouldn't hurt, and maybe he's looking at it as a possibility of lighting a fire into Germany. I don't know. That's kind of a topic that people bring up when people accept calls, like with Gomez playing for the United States and playing for Mexico. Obviously, filling out the camps, but also lighting a fire to see who's really interested.
Well, I think the tougher
possibility.
I get it. The tougher position for me, for us going forward, is outside of Adams, plays the 6, and then you got McKennie at the 8, Luca De La Torre, and Musa. Those are the 4 guys that I think are top notch, right? Mm-hmm. After that, it falls off the cliff. So that's when you have to. I mean, Tessman's not playing anymore. Busio and Venezia, he played today. They got their asses handed to them. Well, 2-1, but they're going to be going down. And I don't think he's adapted that well to Serie A. So, why not his brother? Timothy Tillman, or as we mentioned earlier, Alan Sonora. Let's say Musa pulls a hamstring, and so who comes in for him? De La Torre. I mean, Costa's going to be there too, so he'll probably get called. So I don't know. I just think we need one more midfielder since we're getting 26 spots. I would think it would be a midfielder and not a striker. That's just my personal thought. And Malik plays midfield. Timothy Tillman plays midfield. Now, 9 is hurting. I get it, but that seems like a real stretch out of nowhere to call up a kid, Malik Tillman from Bayern Munich, who never plays for Bayern Munich, hardly ever gets like a handful of minutes, and mostly he's just scoring for the Bayern 2 team or playing well for the Bayern 2 teams, and that's intermittently because he's been bouncing back and forth between the big boys and the second team.
Well, we know Pepe's not going to be in the June window, which I guess is kind of interesting if you really think about it, since we're playing the Nations League as well. I mean, Berhalter literally must just. Obviously, we're not playing the strongest of competitions there.
No.
Or competitors there. But he must be more than confident that whoever he brings in the 9 won't be the key goal scorer anyways.
Well, we already know 2 of them, Ferreira and Haji Wright.
Do we 100% know that Ferreira? I mean, I believe he will, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But did he say it?
He did not say it, but if Ferreira keeps scoring like he's doing, he's going to have –
and again, with having to play Nations League as well, you kind of want to have some form of consistency there. And Ferreira's been included in the last handful or couple windows.
Right. We're not reinventing the wheel. Yeah. There's just a few guys we're going to take a look at. And I think that's going to be another midfielder. I don't think it's going to be another forward. Otherwise, Balogun plays more at Middlesbrough than Malik Tillman has ever played at Bayern. And so I don't know why you wouldn't try him.
Well, okay. And
maybe
what Wilmer says here. Says we really need to find a 9, bring in Malik, bring in Balogun, and maybe Altidore.
Altidore.
I'd stick with Ferrer, or I'd even bring in Pfok if you really wanted to. He's already bringing Haji Wright. Doesn't matter. So take out Altidore, put in Haji in there, and then you can still bring in Malik and Balogun.
Yeah. Has Altidore started a game for the Revs yet this season?
Don't know.
I think he scored 1 goal so far. I think Altidore's done. I mean, we have to have some level of like realism here. Yeah. Altidore's finished. His goose is cooked. Yeah, and
on the brighter side of life, Derek, people are getting our shirts.
Oh,
our shirts
nice.
are arriving.
Wow, that's a lot bigger symbol than
Chad Van Brunt said he got a shirt in the mail.
Sweet.
And this way, now everybody will know that he's a toxic U.S. men's national team fan.
Hey, it looks really good. I don't know why we haven't ordered our own T-shirts yet, because we should have by now, but we're morons and we keep forgetting to do it.
TSRC polo, actually. The red card fell off. Sorry.
Yeah, the daily management of this show keeps us so busy between real life and sometimes I
Yeah,
forget.
I keep forgetting about it.
I keep going, oh, yeah, fuck. Order a shirt, dumbass, so you can wear one during the show. That I can't remember. So lots of weird shit going on right now in the world. Okay, I think we're done. Oh,
yeah.
Try Weah at a 9. I mean, we would. I don't think Greg's going to.
Throw way up top. Throw Pulisic and Aronson beside him. Oh, that'd be a dangerous trio. Assuming that Reyna's still injured, of course.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, make sure you like, subscribe. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching. And dealing with my illness as I sweat. And at the same time, I'm cold. Isn't that fucked up? All right, that's how being sick is, folks. We want to thank you for supporting us, and we will be back for another segment. What the fuck is... All right. I was like, I'm not stoned. What's going on here? So until the next time on the Straight Red Card from my friend Gizmo. Oh, there he is back there. And from Brett.
Breathing?
Yes, he's fine. He is on his medications, though. So he sleeps on when he's on those at first. All right. We'll see you soon, guys. Cheers.
Do it again. Whoop. Ah, fuck. And like it. That's way too many likes. I got a comment on a channel. Fuck. Oh. Yeah. That should probably do. That should probably do. That should probably do.
That hurt. More verticality.